Don't you get bored of the fact that if you're not buying an iPhone, all you're left is an army of Android phones to choose from? And in the budget segment, this choice is even harder to make because there is no other alternative to the Androids. Well, this smartphone right here is planning to change that thing. The name of the smartphone is Intex AquaFish and it does not run Android. Thankfully, it does not even run Windows. It runs a new operating system called Sailfish OS, and before you disregard it for being a new operating system that is going to die soon, let me tell you, I see a lot of potential in it. Moreover, for a price tag of 5,500 rupees, it does not sound that bad, does it? My name is Sid, let's find out why in this video. By the way, before I indulge in my review, I would like to thank people at Shop CJ for sending us this device. Thank you for your support. And as you know in my reviews, the first thing we do is take a look at the spec sheet so that you have a better idea of what we are dealing with here. So as you can see, it packs in some decent specs for its price. A good display, new software, 4G connectivity and other basic specifications that you can see on the screen. So the phone has decent specifications to offer considering the price it is being offered at. And now let's start with the designing of the smartphone. It has a plastic body which again is acceptable considering the price, and it comes in a rather catchy orange back. And the good news is that the back is removable, which means the battery is also replaceable. And coming to the front, it reminds me a lot of Xiaomi Redmi 1S in terms of its shape. But since it's a bit bigger than the Xiaomi Redmi 1S, it also is more inconvenient. And part of the reason for this inconvenience are the bezels. Firstly, there are big bezels around the display which do add to the size of the smartphone, but also they are pointed, which means that they dig into your palms and hurt you when you're trying to access the corner of the screen. But apart from that, if you're coming from Android, you would be pointlessly tapping the bottom bar hoping that it would act as a navigation button. But it would not, because the navigation on this smartphone is all software based. But before I get into the software in detail, let me quickly wind up the display section first. The phone has a 5-inch HD display and the resolution is commendable at this price, and it feels adequate for the most part, and the brightness is decent, even though the viewing angles could improve. Overall, it is fine. Now for 5,500 rupees, you get an entry-level Snapdragon processor but with 2 GB of RAM, which is cool. And the performance is good for most part. You can easily browse the web, you can check your email, it's flawless in daily tasks. But the gaming performance surprised me. Here's how Asphalt 8 would look on this phone. The graphics tend to be a bit choppy when the graphics setting is set to the highest. However, when they're limited to medium, the game works fine. But the point to note is that it can run the game. But of course, I would not recommend it to a hardcore gamer. And now it's time to discuss perhaps the most important section of this review, the software. So let's talk about Sailfish OS for a while. It's a buttonless operating system and all the navigation is gesture based, which means if you swipe your finger from left to right, it acts as a back button. You swipe your finger from the corner of the screen, it acts as a home button. And if you are from Android, if you're coming from Android, there is no app drawer. Swiping your screen from the bottom of the screen to the top of the screen reveals the so-called app drawers. You can see your applications there. And one more thing that you would not like in this phone if you're coming from Android is that swiping your finger down and pulling the status bar down does not bring up the notification center. Instead, all the notifications are piled up in the events view. Also, one thing I love about the Android is quick settings. Now, while it does have quick setting toggles, they are very limited. You can't even change brightness levels from here. I mean, come on, even iPhone allows me to do that. But before you disregard this software, there are a couple of things I actually liked about this phone. Firstly, it allows you to run Android apps, which means that you don't have to wait for applications to develop for Sailfish OS. You can install your favorite applications as soon as you get a device. Next up, I like the overall look and feel of this device. It's very beautiful, but if you don't like it, you can always change it. You go to the ambient section, you pick one theme and everything gets changed. The lock screen gets changed, the whole wallpaper gets changed, sounds get changed, even the keyboard gets changed. It's very cool. Another thing that is something to note about this phone is that it supports live multitasking, which means that in your multitasking window, you can see those widgets change as the background processes take place. Apart from that, there is one cool feature called Presence, which allows you to maintain your visibility and invisibility on your social media. But now let's take a break from software. I'll discuss more of it in the verdict section. Let me tell you first about the cameras of this device. They're bad. You might get possible results in the broad daylight, but that is the only place you're gonna get those. The results are noisy indoors and too dull in the dark. Even the videos look ugly when shot from this phone. Talking about the camera app itself, it has a lot of controls which are more confusing than helpful. It took me some time to figure out how to switch to the front camera from this 27 icons. So clearly the cameras on this phone are not very good. I mean, I wish I could have said that they're good for their price, but Xiaomi Redmi 2 offers you way better optics and it's priced similarly too. Lastly, talking about the battery, the 2500 mAh battery did last me throughout the day generally, but the drain on idle was way too much. After 6 hours of my sleep, the battery drained around 10% with only Wi-Fi turned on. Apart from that, the phone does not have fast charging, which means that it takes you around 2 hours and 45 minutes to charge this phone to 100%. One thing though I noticed is that the display keeps on igniting whenever I get a notification, and that may aid in this battery drain. My observation. Talking about the leftover features now, it comes with dual SIM slots, you get 4G, and you get a separate micro SD card slot. So that's, I think, all you need to know about the Intex AquaFish. That sums up my review. And now I need to tell you whether or not you should buy this in my verdict section.
So, how's the t-shirt? Just kidding. How's the phone? Well, it's not a bad phone for its price, and it's good to see something new, a different operating system coming here. However, the thing with new things is that they require a lot of learning to adapt. I've been using this phone for a week now and I still don't have the hang of it. I would still some days pull the notification bar down in order to see my notifications or endlessly press the screen to find the home button. In fact, this phone does not even have a home screen. And the issue is that this phone, in an attempt to be different, ends up being inconvenient. So my verdict is that you should buy Intex AquaFish only if it's your first smartphone and you have no knowledge of them, or if you want a separate phone, a spare phone to test out a new thing. Because otherwise, you'll have to relearn on how to use your smartphone. So that sums up my review of the Intex AquaFish. If you have any questions about the device or any comments to make, post them in the box below. I'll be happy to interact. Also, do not forget to like this video, share this video, and of course, subscribe to our channel. My name is Sid. Keep seeing me. Ciao.